Covey, in his best-selling book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, states that his researches lead him to conclude that shortly after World War I, there was a paradigm shift from what he calls the character ethic to the personality ethic. According to Covey, the character ethic is based on certain basic principles, such as honesty, integrity, courage, fidelity, and above all, the golden rule. And that, quote, people can only experience true success and enduring happiness as they learn and integrate these principles into their basic character, the character ethic. By contrast, the personality ethic, according to Covey, means success became more a function of personality, of public image, of attitude and behaviors, skills and techniques that lubricated the processes of human interaction, end of quote. What we are noting here then is a remarkable shift from an inner-centered life to an outer-centered life. Image is more important than character. There are historical and cultural forces at work in the world which are impacting our small society and which have led, in my humble opinion, to the virtual collapse of the traditional value system. Values like honesty, hard work, decency, fairness, self-reliance, self-respect have been seriously eroded. Lin Yutang, a Chinese author who lived in the United States recent times, summarizes the human condition well when he says, and I quote, "Today, we are afraid of simple words like goodness and mercy and kindness. We don't believe in the good old values anymore. And that is why the world is sick." End of quote. The world is full of problems, but we can't tell anyone to stop the world so that we can get off. We are an inescapable part of the planet on which we live, so we cannot isolate ourselves from it. But hopefully, we can try to insulate ourselves from the worst effects of globalization by building and strengthening foundations that will last. I am proposing 3 pillars. I call them the 3 R's on which to build, namely responsibility, respect, and reasonableness. Teachers have a vitally important role in the process. According to Bertrand Russell, the great philosopher, quote, "Teachers are more than any other class the guardians of civilization." Could I say that again? Teachers are more than any other class the guardians of civilization. With respect to responsibility, what a wonderful world it would be if we took our responsibilities more seriously, instead of blaming others or blaming colonialism or blaming the government. the government earns blame from time to time. But if that becomes our preoccupation, then we've lost it, all right? I don't think the minister minds being blamed from time to time, criticized from time to time, challenged from time to time. He smiles, so I take that to mean yes. All right, teachers? Teachers have to be in the forefront of the process to implant in the minds of the young and old a sense of personal responsibility. The fault, dear Brutus, lies not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are who we are, that we are underlings. To Alexander Hamilton is attributed the saying, "He who is good at making excuses is seldom good at anything else." And many of us simply end up making excuses for almost everything. Just this morning, I ran into one of the coaches within the system, and he was saying to me that he came from a function, and what was happening there is that the side which had lost was busy blaming and cussing the referee. Right? That's part of our problem. This is at the root of our problem as Caribbean people. Whether it has to do with lateness or poor performance, we tend to make excuses instead of working harder and with greater efficiency to raise our personal standards. Unpunctuality is probably one of the more notorious examples of irresponsibility and disrespect, which in my humble opinion is far too common in our community and in the Caribbean at large. Consequently, it is rare for any public function to start on time. The message that it sends to the young in particular is that time and deadlines and standards do not matter. However, a French king famously said, quote, "Punctuality is the politeness of kings." I wonder if we can commit that to memory. Punctuality is the politeness of teachers, preachers, ministers, prime ministers. Persistent unpunctuality leads people, especially those who come from abroad, to conclude that we are not businesslike, that we are not professional, that we cannot be taken seriously. That's the message we are sending. And so often I wonder, how do teachers emphasize punctuality in school? What do you say to children about punctuality? That's a problem. If we do not take ourselves seriously, then we really cannot complain when other people don't take us